Hello, I'm Richard Spiby.
And I'm Carolyn Westbrook.
And welcome to Assessing Learning. We both work in the Assessment Research Group at the British Council. I've worked in teaching and assessment for over 20 years in the UK and Turkey. I became interested in assessment when I began to understand just how much thinking was needed to make a good language test that's fair to students.
I also come from a teaching background, having spent over 25 years as a teacher trainer, and a materials writer. I became interested in assessment over 20 years ago when I realised that the assessments that I give to my students can have a profound impact on their lives, and I wanted to make sure that the results of the assessments reflect my students' abilities.
Assessment is an essential part of teaching and learning. And in this video, we'll try to give you some ideas about how to assess students in the classroom, with a top tip at the end of each part. This video has 6 parts on different aspects of assessment. Each part is about 5 minutes long. This first part introduces why we assess our students. After that, we look at the different language skills. So in part 2, I'll be talking about how to assess reading skills. And in part 3, Carolyn will look at listening. Then the productive skills. I'll look at speaking in part 4, and Carolyn will talk about writing in part 5. Finally, in part 6, Carolyn will tell us about integrator skills. Now, there are many reasons why knowing about assessment is vital for teachers. Teachers spend up to half of their time conducting assessments or preparing for them, so it's important to know as much about them as possible. Knowledge of assessment also helps teachers to integrate it into their teaching effectively. Another benefit is better tests in the classroom and a greater ability to guide students, parents, and everyone else affected by test results. Assessment is central to teachers' professional development. As teachers, we assess our students every single lesson. So it's useful to think of the different ways we do this and what the purpose of each assessment is. Teachers assess students formatively and summatively. Formative assessment focuses on what students have learned and how they can improve in future. This could be feedback to student writing from the teacher, other students, or the writer themselves. Or it could be the teacher's questions in class to check whether students have understood a grammar point. On the other hand, summative assessment measures what students have learned and assigns them a grade. This could be an achievement test, like a class quiz or midterm, which is related to the specific content of the course. Or it could be a proficiency test, which measures general language ability. It has been shown that when teachers use both formative and summative assessment well, there's an increase in student success.